I've been saying for a year now, through the entire Torah portion cycle, that there are things in every single Torah portion directly relevant to these non-Jews, these God-fearing non-Jews who take on one God. So the modern Noahide or full converts. There are things relevant to these non-Jews in every single Torah portion, and I've been able to prove it so far. There are ones that I haven't even had time to post yet, but I've already done all the work. Since it's the very last Torah portion now, I'll show that even in the last Torah portion, there are things there as well. So there's this discussion whether Yitro, the father-in-law of Moses, or Jethro, was a Ger Toshav, which is a non-Jew who takes on the Torah and one God, but remains a non-Jew, or whether he was a Ger Tzedek, who is the full convert. And it's really, there's no conflict here. They're both probably true, and it's a process. So Jethro is really the perfect person to kind of personify these states. He's basically, when you're studying Jethro, you're studying the absolute highest when it comes to the non-Jew in the Torah. So I'm reading the Torah portion, the final one, and the second verse in, I notice one of his probably least well-known names. And if you really look at it, it could say, and Zerach, which is the name, from Seir. And you can see here, and he shone upon them from Seir. Seir is Edom and Esav. This is the line of Esav, ancestor of the Edomites, Edom, in the hill country of Seir. Now this is from Genesis 36, and I've shown this many times. You can see here, these are the name of Esav's sons, and it says Ruel, which is either Jethro or Jethro's father. And then you'll go down and see Ruel's sons. And here they are, the sons of Ruel. And you have here Zerach, or Zerach, or actually Zerach here. Yeah. You can see it's the same, and then from Seir, this could easily say. So it's like hinting at Jethro. Okay. This is very interesting, because then when you go down one more verse, you have his name here, Chobab. It's this lover here. Chobab means like loved one, a person who is loved. Moses said to Chobab, the son of Ruel, the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law, as you see here. Now, this is very interesting. So we have all these clues about Jethro or Yitro. We have his names here. So what happens when you click on the verse and start combing through all the commentaries and the texts? You find things like this. The Baal HaTurim says that if you take these first three words, which includes the name of Jethro, although it's not explicitly said here, it's kind of hidden. He says that the value of these words comes out to the same value as gerim, or converts. Gerim as in Ger Toshav perhaps, or Ger Tzedek. I think here they're kind of hinting that it's like the Ger Tzedek in mind. And it says, for all the converts who would convert in the future also stood at Sinai. And it uses the term af, which could also mean anger, because it refers to those who struggle and afflict themselves for the sake of the Torah. So these people, these non-Jews, are connected to the Torah. And it says here, and I have separated you from the other nations to be mine. If the Torah had written, I have separated you, or separated the other nations from you, this would have meant that we do not accept converts, or gerim. Seeing that the Torah uses the reverse order and writes, I have separated you from the nations, this means that when Gentiles wish to convert to Judaism, or monotheism, or Torah, they are able to do so. And then this means that God reserves the right to allow those who wish to sanctify themselves by embracing the Torah to do so. So the Torah is open for everybody. And again, on our verse here, on these first three words, which include the name Chobab, they even add the Avav here, also members of the Gentile nations. Isn't it amazing that when you find these little clues and you click and search around, you always find things that are relevant, such as the mixed multitude whom Moses had accepted as converts at the time of the Exodus, and who had done so in order to receive the Torah. God became fond of and accepted them, so that they too were included in the camp which his Shekinah, or benevolent presence, rested over the people. All these things. And then Nachmanides writes that the word Chobab here is derived from the same root as, I think, Chobi here in Job. And of course, Job was a Gentile. Job was a Noahide. Job was this Ger Toshav type of character. It's very interesting, too, that you can also find, when you actually check out the verse, one verse up, it does mention this Ger right here. No sojourner spent the night in the open. So we'll go back to it one more time. And if you wanted any more, confirmation that this is about Jethro, all you have to do is click on it. Let's go through all the commentaries now. And then let's look up the root of Jethro's name. So Yitro, or Yeter, which is one of his other names. And then you can find it right here. Mentioned in Parashat Vayishma Yitro, which I believe is 18:1. And you can find it multiple times. Kind of hinted at. But here, clear as day, Yitro's name. Now, here's a kind of high-level text. It's very interesting. I'm going to throw it on the end here. This is on our verse again. It says here, this is God's command to Edom, who again we started out with. Remember, Seir, Edom, Esav, the host country, not to make the Jewish people perform slave labor, but to treat them as one treats a hired hand. As it says here, like a hired hand, shall be like a hired hand or a resident for you. See here the hired hand, and then like a toshav, as in ger toshav, like we saw right here with Jethro in the very beginning. Very interesting. We have Israel, Jews, being referred to as toshav here. The reason the Torah uses two alternatives here is that Israel may be divided into two categories. I'm just going to shut this down here. The first, the multitude, the average. The second, the elite, where the elite is described as sitting in the council of the wise. So the Toshav here is describing the spiritual elite. So the tax collectors they're describing here do not represent Israel's spiritual elite. Israel's spiritual elite are characterized by Moses in our verse, Deuteronomy 33:3, which includes Jethro's name. But they followed in your footsteps and accepted your pronouncements. So concerning this verse, our sages quote that it was forbidden by royal decree to impose any kind of taxes on the Torah scholars, these Toshavs, even in exile. When the Torah speaks of the Edomites who have exiled us, treating us like the hired hands, or shachir here, This refers to the common people. The term toshav here, however, refers to the spiritual elite of the Jewish people in exile. They are not burdened with taxes and other governmental demands. It's very interesting that this word toshav is used here to refer to the spiritual elite of the Jewish people, because toshav really also refers to the spiritual elite of the non-Jews, of the Noahides. If you're a Noahide today, you're like the Ger Toshav, very much like the Ger Toshav, and you should be the spiritual elite of the non-Jews.